Raising a child can be so rewarding, but in today's world, it can be at times frustrating and overwhelming. Love, Limits, and Lessons teaches parents how to create more peace and cooperation at home. Bill Corbett is an author and parent educator. He joins us now. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Well, thank you.
All right, you've raised your own children, your grandchildren, and stepchildren, and you've come up with this unique method. Let's talk about that.
Well, years ago when I was a dad, I knew I didn't want to do what my parents did. My parents were dysfunctional like many families were.
I guess we all learn from our parents what we want to do and what we don't want to do.
Right, learn what not to do.
Exactly.
So I knew what not to do, but I didn't know what to do instead. So I really started getting confused with all the books that started coming out in the 80s and 90s. They were the gimmicks, they were confusing to me.
And some of them were conflicting as well.
Oh, they were, absolutely. Especially if you raise your children under certain principles. They don't mix with some of the books coming out from psychologists who we trust. So I decided to get my own degree, and I went to school, and then began to realize what I came up with was the right way to raise our children, which is a firm but yet respectful way in getting them to feel accountable, to feel their full self-esteem, and to develop them into cooperative and high-esteem people in society.
But for parents, though, as you know, it's very overwhelming and challenging. So what do you tell them?
Well, one of the things you have to understand is this is a different world than it was when we were kids.
Exactly.
You can't use the same old thing. In fact, sometimes when I do a demonstration, I pull on the table when I do a lecture at a parent workshop, an rusted old toolbox. And I open it up and I pull all these old tools out that parents are trying to use in today's modern day. And then after going through those and they begin laughing and seeing what they're doing, I pull out a modernized toolbox and begin pulling out modern tools that we should be using with today's challenging child.
All right, you have 3 tips. Let's go through some of them. But what age are we talking about in all of these different recommendations that you may have?
Pretty much 3 to 13 is the core age for using these kinds of tools.
All right, so let's go with the first one, and that is using visual timers to time activities. What is that for?
Well, you know, one of the things that's important is when we wake up in the morning, an adult, as soon as we open our eyes, we register the next 72 things we have to do for the rest of the day, right?
True.
And so we get so stressed before our feet even hit the floor. Well, when a child wakes up, they're not like that. They just get up and they think they have this huge nebulous sea of do anything all day long. And so
I wish we had that.
Yeah, I know, right? The parent and the child crashes in the morning because the parent's on a schedule, and the parent's like, how you have the audacity to sit there and play? Don't you realize we have 7 things we have to do? The child's like, what? Why do you have to go to work? Why can't we play all day? So a child doesn't have that mentality of time management. So a visual timer works really effective with children because what do we do now? We turn on the microwave timer, and then we argue with them when the timer goes off because they get lost in the activity. But when we use a visual timer, children see the passing of time. Now they're more engaged and they understand. So visual timers are very creative for parents because you set the red. That means your child doesn't even have to be able to tell time yet. You set the red and you said, you have this much red to play Webkins or to be on the computer or to eat even. And the mechanism pulls the red dial back so it eventually disappears. And then when the red disappears, the parent can say, look what happened. The time ran out. It's time for us to go. And a child's not going to argue with an inanimate object, but they'll argue with you if you control the passing of time.
That's right, but it would be good though to explain what is ahead and during the day, the activity schedule that she's trying to do or he's trying to do with the child.
Oh, sure,
right?
absolutely.
Talk to the child and explain to them, right, what's going on.
Yes, but again, sometimes they go, why? Why do we have to go to school? Why do you have to go to work? Sometimes, be careful not to get too much into it with them. Just say, Mommy says this is what we have to do.
All right, the second tip you have is give them choices.
Yeah. Psychologists have been telling us for years that children have this internal core desire to be powerful. They want to be somebody. They want to feel valuable. Experts tell us that the #1 reason that kids dress like, imitate, and join gangs is just to feel powerful and valuable to somebody. So if the parents are moving 50,000 miles an hour at home and too busy to give the child power, then power struggles ensue. Then they don't want to get in the car seat, they want to stay in the carriage, they don't want to do their homework. It's all this stuff happens. So if we give them choices, it makes them feel, oh, I have a say. So instead of saying, go brush your teeth, which just triggers an argument, say, would you like to use the alligator toothbrush or the orange toothbrush? Notice, not doing it is not one of the options.
Exactly.
So you focus on what they can do about doing it.
Oh,
and
great
choices work
idea.
powerful.
That happens all the time.
Yes.
All right, your last tip is help them feel powerful.
Yes.
Now, why do you want your child to feel powerful?
Because when they fulfill the sense of I'm important, I'm valuable, then I'm more likely and they're more inclined to cooperate and do what you want them to do. And there's things we can do to help them feel powerful. For example, I suggested to a mom who had a 3-year-old who was getting into power struggles, every time he saw his mom taking care of the 6-month-old baby, and the jealousy ensues and the dethronement occurs. So I said, you know what, take them to 2 places when you go out today. Take them to a discount store and a hamburger place that gives out the crowns. And you bring those two, in the discount store, he's to buy his own diaper bag. At the hamburger shop, we know what store, what chain does that. You bring home the crown and you teach him that he is now going to become the diaper bag king. And his job is to pack that diaper bag.
Oh my goodness, you have to be so creative though.
You do. With today's child, it's either that or you fight and yell and argue and punish, and nothing successful comes out of that.
I can tell you a really quick story. When my daughter was 3
Sure.
years old, she found my high heels, and of course she's wearing them, stomping around the bedroom. And I walk in, she says, "Mom, I'm the boss." And I looked at her, "Oh no, I'm the mom, I'm the boss." And we just laughed it off. We just, I just kind of played off with it. And I just found something so amusing. And she started laughing about it. And so she just kind of diffused that confrontation.
Yes.
Well, so you do have to find humor in things.
You do. And when I came back from parent educator training, the first certification I ever got back in the early mid-90s, I took my kids out on vacation. We're out and it was hot and the kids were stuck in the van because it was pouring down and we're trying to get it ready to go. My 3 kids started fighting in the van and the minivans going back and forth. And I was only like 30 days a parent educator, brand new, and I just couldn't take it anymore with the commotion. I charged over to the minivan, grabbed the door, opened it up, pushed myself in there.
You're
I said,
ready to do
if
something.
you kids don't knock it off, and I caught myself saying that, and my son's sitting right there, he goes, "You'll what, Dad? You're a parenting instructor now." So you're right, you got to keep the humor because your kids are going to catch you.
Okay, so what did you do? Well, you corrected yourself and you did what?
I closed the door and walked away.
You did?
Realizing he's right. What am I going to do? Because we have these tapes that we keep playing over and over from our parents.
Okay.
We were walking around as kids recording everything, and then we go and say goofy things to our kids and they catch us doing it.
You're right. You're right. All right. Well, thank you. This great advice for all of us at home who are parents trying to deal with a lot of things. The name of the book, again, is Love, Limits, and Lessons. And I know you're working on another book.
Yeah, volume 2.
Very good. We'll be looking forward to it.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Coming up next, Sandra Pittman shares her recipe for catfish with vegetables.